Hi, everyone, and welcome to the webinar for the Think and Grow Rich Book Club. I'm very happy to have you here. And I am going to put the controls around here. Let's see if we can get this going here. So welcome, everyone. I am adding some controls so I can see who's here and what we are doing. So that's good. All right. So hopefully you can see me well. I cannot see who is here yet. So let's give ourselves a few minutes, few seconds, and we will get rolling as soon as we can. And we will start to go. So welcome, everyone. There we go. All right, so welcome to the Think and Grow Rich webinar. It's great to have everyone here. Just going to make sure that everyone can hear me live on this Think and Grow Rich. This is the first of the webinars that I'm doing for the day on the Think and Grow Rich book. I am super excited. Here is what the Think and Grow Rich book looks like. You may have seen a picture of me with this book. This is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, written in 1937, and we're going to talk about step one today, the secret of desire and having a strong desire in order to focus your efforts. So Napoleon Hill wrote this book, and in this version, which is the Mastermind version, Joel Fontanos and August Gold have written a nice workbook which has spaces to take notes, highlight, extra quotes, etc. I really like this version. It is the size of a workbook and something you can hang on to years like I have. Hopefully all of you have gotten the handout that was sent, and just in case you did not, I am going to put the handout up here. Let's see. And there's the free handout. So I'm going to load that up there. So you should be able to check out your handout. So if you come into the room and you need to get the handout that I'm going to be going over, it will be over here on the sidebar for you. So go ahead and download. It's a free handout. It's about 7 pages, and it describes the first step of getting to riches, which is creating your strong desire. So before we get into that, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about me and why am I, Mo Fall, so eager and excited about this book, Think and Grow Rich, and why am I trying to get other people excited about it as well. My name is Mo Fall, and I started mymostlife.com last July as a next chapter in my life. I was a healthcare executive, pretty successful executive, and I'm a breast cancer survivor. I'm also raised Irish Catholic, and I wear uniforms all day. So people often say, Maureen, do you have anything else that you wear other than your logo gear? The answer is no, because it's just easier for me to wear this, and I don't have to think about what I'm going to wear in the day, and it just goes, and I can also advertise my website. So raised Irish Catholic, I wore a uniform to school every single day up until I went to college. And when I went to college, I all of a sudden start figuring out what to wear. So I'm a little wardrobe challenged, and I enjoy wearing the Most Life logo gear. I'm a registered nurse. That's what I went to college for. And right as I was getting out of college, the self-improvement, self-help generation started growing by leaps and bounds. Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, all of the top gurus of today started in the 70s and 80s into the 90s, and I was fascinated by self-help and knowing what to do to make yourself a better person. Because my hero growing up, especially as an Irish Catholic, was Mother Teresa. And I couldn't believe how lucky she was to actually have her passion and her vocation and an exalted sense of self be who she was. How did she get to be like that? So she started my journey actually looking at what makes people successful and happy and have inner peace more than the average General Mo, for instance. So I have been studying self-improvement, self-help, self-development, self-whatever for about 30 years now. And I've read all of the major books, many of the books that are maybe in smaller versions in print. Think and Grow Rich is always a book that everyone else talks about. I've read it probably at this point 20, 25 times now, and I study it now versus reading it, because this is a book that is a lifestyle and a life and a way of thinking that is very different than how society works. In our physical world, we think of cause and effect. If you do something or if you work hard, you're going to then get this result. Well, in 1937, when Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, it was the result of Andrew Carnegie, who at the time was the wealthiest man in the world, had said to him, I want you to study everyone who's wealthy and successful, and I want you to write a book about that so that average man, average person on earth can try to do the same things and be as successful as they can possibly be. That was almost 80 years ago that he wrote this study of human beings and success. It was before neurolinguistic programming, which is now the science of achievement. It was before The Secret, before the law of attraction. Napoleon Hill had this stuff down pat by studying all of these successful people. And when I first read the book, I'm like, oh, this is really nice. This is very interesting. I'm sure that this works. And then I go on to the next book, and I would read something else and go on to the next book. And I kept coming back to Think and Grow Rich because everyone else who I was reading, who was successful, who was trying to help others be successful, was referring back to Think and Grow Rich. So I said, I've got to read that book again. So I read it 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And I started to think about all of the aspects in there. And I started to teach it individually to my team as a healthcare executive. And I helped people develop themselves by teaching them some of the things that are in Think and Grow Rich. And it's very basic on one hand, but it's very profound and moving on the other hand. And you have to be ready to open your mind to the world working a little bit differently than you were schooled and taught in high school, grade school, or college. Wherever you were taught that if you do this, you're going to get that result. Those are the basic physics. And we're going to get into a little bit of physics today, because basic physics, the Newtonian laws of physics, are cause and effect. And that is still a law that happens in this universe. And there's also the law of gravity. And we don't argue those things. But actually, there are additional laws of nature, laws of the universe. And Napoleon Hill was on them almost 80 years ago. And that's why I like this book so much, because he uses some of the principles that quantum physicists over the last 50 years have been uncovering. And he was talking about them 80 years ago. And we're still not where we need to be as society, accepting them as well as we do the law of gravity. Can you imagine when Newton first developed the law of gravity with the apple falling, and he was like, wow, that's interesting. How did that apple actually fall out of that tree? What caused it to fall? We no longer wonder these things. We take the law of gravity for granted. Well, maybe after going through the Think and Grow Rich book, you might take the law of infinite intelligence and the law of attraction, which he had been onto way before it was popularized in The Secret. You might take that for granted as well, because what you think about is what your reality is. And let's get into some of that. So again, I kind of went through a little bit of my biography and why I'm here. I have a vast store of newsletters and programs and services on my website, My Most Life, to encourage you to get the most out of your life and open yourself up to being all that you can be. Think and Grow Rich is really a basic part of that. So let's get into that. So let me see, share my screen for you, and we will be screen share. So let's get into a little bit of my presentation here. So Think and Grow Rich. Hopefully all of you can see that. I'm going to go into the room and just make sure that all of you can see what I'm looking at right now. So Think and Grow Rich, like I said, was written in 1937 by Napoleon Hill. He studied all the wealthy people of his time. It was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, who I think was worth $100 million in the 1920s, which was probably at least $1 billion, if not more than that in today's dollars. Napoleon Hill found out that there are certain aspects of how the non-physical universe works that go hand in hand with how the physical universe works. We now call this the law of attraction. Maybe many of you have read books on the law of attraction. Many have read the book, The Secret. And when I talk about this, people say, oh, that sounds like the book, The Secret, or the movie, The Secret. Have you seen that? Yes, indeed. Everything in there is based on Think and Grow Rich. He knew the power of the mind. And I mentioned earlier about neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. It's the study of people who have achieved something and copying it to be successful. That's basically what Napoleon Hill did before NLP was devised. It is the science of achievement. And Napoleon Hill had the secret to the science of achievement before we even were talking about it that way. And I want to introduce to you one of his, let me get the next slide up. One of his principles is summarized in this section of his book. And it's a direct quote from the book. I'm going to read it to you because this is it. This is why people are successful or not successful. Success comes to those who become success conscious. Failure comes to those who indifferently allow themselves to become failure conscious. The object of this book is to help all who seek it learn the art of changing their minds from failure consciousness to success consciousness. Another weakness found in altogether too many people is the habit of measuring everything and everyone by their own impressions and beliefs. Some people who read this will believe that no one can think and grow rich. I will actually say, this is my own quote now, if you are here, you're probably not one of those people. But I actually get comments on my Facebook page pretty regularly about how you can't do this. So why people think that is because they cannot think in terms of riches, because their thought habits have been steeped in poverty, want, misery, failure, and defeat. And we are programmed at a very early age to think this way. For the most part, people are raised with thought habits of poverty, want, misery, failure, and defeat. And usually to add on to that, a win-lose, a scarcity of money, there isn't enough, or don't be all of that. Don't be so boastful. Well, let's get into something. I'm going to get into the handout, and let's see if I'm going to pull that up. So let's get into the handout a little bit. I want to talk about, and I'm on page, let's see what page of the handout. I am just running over to page 4 of the handout. And on page 4, I actually have a picture taken from the internet. It is a study that's been done thousands of times. It is all about the observer and the observer's reference point related to matter. And as I have this up here, so you can start to digest what this picture looks like, Napoleon Hill said that you cannot be successful if you have a failure consciousness. Poverty, want, lack. He basically said, I'm just going to make sure that you're seeing what I'm seeing. Hang on one second, please. Let me change what is in your screen. I may have to go back to screen share. Hang on one second. Hang on with me, folks, please. Thank you. There we go. All right, here we go. So thoughts and energy plus emotions and specifics equal matter. Thoughts and energy being what we were told as we were being raised, what we were experiencing, all pushed into our subconscious brain with emotions and with specific details, really imprinted into our brain, into our mind, into our subconscious mind, how the world works. And believe it or not, that's just your perspective. There are other people who have other perspectives, and that's because they were raised differently. Some people have a perspective that everyone is out to get them, or that everyone is a burglar or a robber, or that people are going to take advantage of you. And there are all kinds of perspectives that different people have based on the thought patterns that they received growing up. And then what happens is that our experience as we're growing older, going from childhood to young adulthood and into adulthood, we have the manifestation of those types of experiences being reality. And so we believe them again. And it happens again, and we believe it again. So our thoughts are on a continuous cycle of, I'm going to think this way, and then it's going to happen. I'm going to think this way, and then it's going to happen. So that's how this physical principle, this quantum physics, which has now been found out after Napoleon Hill wrote this fantastic book, that when we view something as a wave, it comes through as a wave. When we think we're viewing a particle, it comes through as a particle. The quantum object of our observer's reference point changes what we see. It's a quantum physics reality. And as a matter of fact, a lot of quantum physicists now, Bruce Dolan being one of the preeminent ones, are talking about how we must understand that our thoughts are creating our reality, because that's what happens in our universe. In our physical and non-physical universe, we have a duality. And that is what we observe is what happens. It's what our thoughts create, the matter that comes to us. And I'm going to just scroll through this handout a little bit. I've got a nice little poem in here for you. I won't get into the reading of it, but I do want to talk to you. Whoops. Ooh, hang on. I do want to talk to you a little bit about a frame of reference that is really, really important in the aspects of the Think and Grow Rich book. Hang on one second. My handout is going a little crazy here. I'm going to use these arrows here. Okay, so you might have thoughts that are, that's just my luck. I can never get ahead. My life is like this because all of these are victim mindsets. And they are limiting mindsets, and they are creating your reality. So I want to suggest to you that right now, you create your cleanup phrase. Go ahead. How about, I have the best luck in the world? How about my favorite phrase, which is, everything always works out for me? I have postcards made of this, and I give this to people randomly around when I go to the restaurant, when I go to the grocery store, walking in the parking lot, whatever, wherever I am, I'm handing out this postcard that says, everything always works out for me. I call it a cleanup phrase or a replacement phrase, because it is so much better to say that and to create that reality than the reality of, I never get ahead, or life's like this because I was raised in poverty. Life's like this because I don't have a master's degree. Life's like this because. So let's go back to our observer and our observer's reference point. And if we say to ourselves, everything always works out for me, then that is what we are going to observe. Because physical science tells us that that's exactly what happens. This is how things work in our world, believe it or not. And if you don't believe me, just think about the things that you think on a regular basis and see what your life is like. Chances are there's a match up there, that these things do indeed match up. And I just want to make sure, going back to the room here, Let's see if I have anyone in the chat. Okay, got that going on. All right, just making sure that no one needs anything from me while we're cranking through. I get so caught up in what I'm talking about and sharing with you. So step one in Napoleon Hill's book is desire. And he says, define a specific desire and write it down in great detail. Make it big enough that you're going to get excited about it. Why? Because if it's not big enough, you might get a little lazy. You might get a little complacent. When you don't want to make it big enough, it's typically because you might have some extra fears about asking for too much. You might have some idea of getting into your mind and realizing that your thoughts that you have are causing you to have a disconnect with what you want. What if it's too much? What if I don't do it? Is 50% okay? Is wanting okay? Some people have said to me, I don't set up a desire because I don't feel like you should want anything more in life. What God gives you is what you should look at. I'm here to say that I believe that God gave us the ability to desire and the ability to want and the ability to create great things. So that is what we are here on this earth to do. Everyone wishes for more money, more freedom, more enjoyment in life. And Think and Grow Rich is kind of a bit of a misnomer because everyone says, well, I don't need to get rich. Well, let me tell you how much easier life is if you do have money versus not having money. I talk to people all day long, helping them with their life and with their success plan. And when you don't have enough money to pay your bills, you really can't think about how to be happy. So let's go beyond that. And let's say that you want to make $50,000 more in income next year versus this year. Write that down. Write the exact amount of money that you want more of and write it down. It should be somewhat feasible to you in your mind. If it's $50 million and you're currently making $100,000 a year, this could create such a gap in your subconscious mind that you can't fill it in. And that causes doubt and fear to creep in. And then there's this big cavern of doubt and fear between what you want and where you are today. So make it something that is within reason to you and your conscious mind, because your conscious mind actually will be driving what's put into your subconscious mind. So write down the exact amount of money you want, exactly what you intend to do to get it. So if you want $50,000 more in earnings, what exactly you're going to do differently than you are now in order to get it? Are you going to get a new job? Are you going to get a promotion? Are you going to move to a different company? Are you going to be more successful if you're in sales? Are you going to increase your sales by 25%? What exactly do you intend to do to get it? And then the definite date you intend to get it. And then creating a plan for your definite desire. Begin at once. Now you're saying, well, Maureen, this is cause and effect. This is, I want this and therefore I'm going to do that. Yes, you need to take action in this physical world. Absolutely. But you also need to have a plan, a desire, something that is moving you towards something new. If you're just working every day, working, doing your job, maybe you're setting a sales goal, maybe you're having departmental goals to meet budget, you are focused on what's 6 inches in front of you. Push your mind, push your brain to go past that. Go past your comfort zone. Go past your what's right in front of you. And then create a clear and concise plan for what you intend to give. And I don't necessarily say that you're going to give that $50,000 to charity. What I'm saying is, what are you going to give of value to others? How are you going to be a bigger person? And then read your statement aloud upon waking and upon going to bed twice a day. And I will add to that. Do it in an excited mode. When you get your physiology and your body involved in your goal setting, in your desires, you add the positive physical physiology to achieving them. This is the quote from Napoleon Hill. If you do not see riches in your imagination, you will never see them in your bank account. Okay, so here's the action steps. So, well, I'm going to say action number 1 is sign up for the rest of the 12-week book club. We'll get into that in a second. Get a book, get a journal, get a pen, write your definite purpose, put it on your mirror as a reminder, And then I want you to read the introduction and step 1 desire in the mastermind version of the book. And then next week, it is chapter 2. So I'm going to close out this handout for 1 second. Should we get into the next? I'm going to change my screen view here. Whoops. Okay. All righty. Change my screen view here to back to the slideshow. So what we're going to do is we are going to, on the next 12 weeks, we are going to go through the entire 13 steps to riches. We are going to do we are doing the first one right now, and that is your definite purpose or your desire in life. Next week, we start the book club off with phone calls. It'll be conference call format where you're going to call in and we are going to talk about the next chapter of the book. So the first one is now, step 1's now. Step 2 is next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to send you via email a special worksheet each week of what that chapter is going to encompass and some high points, maybe some extra things to think about, some reflection. You're going to get those special worksheets every single week like you did today. So today you got a 7-page worksheet. It has some extra reflection, some extra information, and some things for you to do as an action guide. I developed these specifically for this book club. And this is basically a mastermind book club where we're going to share and we're going to work with each other. Everyone who's on the call is going to be involved with each other. The worksheets alone are over a $300 value of my effort to make this your best life. You'll notice the icon on the photo here. I purposely put this up here. Grade. So it is a typographical, because I want to tell you that one of the funniest things about Napoleon Hill is what you put your attention on is what expands. And I was actually in a conference several years ago, actually, and the gentleman who was presenting at the conference wrote typographical errors on the poster, on the easel, every time he wrote something. And his whole point was, if you are focusing on the problem, on the misspelling, you know what I'm saying, you know, upgrade your life, you know what that is all about. If you are focusing on the mistake, that's where your attention is, and that's what expands. There's so much more to focus on than that piece. So I want you to pay particular attention to the fact that in life, that tends to get us. We tend to focus on the little negative thing. Now, the book club is not free. My experience with things that are free is that people won't show up, people don't put effort toward it, but it's not expensive either. It is $10 a session, basically. The book club is $127 for the entire 13-week. This is week 1. That's less than $10 a week. So if you want to enrich your life and you can't spend $10 a week to enrich your life, you should look at how that works out in the rest of your life. So not only am I going to be offering you these free worksheets as part of the package, you are also going to have the recording of the call on a special website that you'll have access to for 90 days after the last call, which will be in August. You will have access to the re-recordings of those calls if you miss one or if you want to listen to one again. Sometimes I'll do some guided meditation in there. Someone's problem that they might be talking about might be something that totally resonates with you. They are worth re-listening to. And the folks who were in the Think and Grow Rich book club that I did earlier this year really found great value in having those recordings. So you'll get the link to that after each call. So your package basically includes 12 more phone calls, and they'll actually be more engaging because we'll actually be on a phone call together rather than the webinar concept, which makes it a little bit difficult. You can chat, you can send me a chat message here in the webinar, but I like phone calls because we can actually talk real time. And it's much more valuable, I think, when you can put your earphones to your phone in your ears, and you can basically take every other distraction out, and you can be listening, you can be watching your hand, looking at your handout, looking at your book, and your time is focused. Now, these calls are scheduled to be 1 hour. Most of them actually go to 1 hour and a half, 1 hour and 15 minutes. That's no problem. You can come and go as you please on the call. Again, the recording is yours. So for $127, you get all 13 worksheets. You get the recording of the call, and you get me live and in person every single week. For those folks who are in the US, it's 8 p.m. Eastern time. And if I get folks from the UK, I've got a lot of folks in the UK within my audience, I will be happy to look at doing another call earlier in the day, perhaps at 12 noon Eastern, which I believe is 8 p.m. London time. And we will take it from there. So I'm going to now change the offer that's displayed here. And you now have the opportunity to click on this, the secure link here to join up for the book club. Your address, your email, your name, your credit card information for $127. And this offer expires now. It expires today. So this link that you're getting here in this webinar is the link to get that special price. It's $127 today. It's $197 regular price, which I will be advertising the regular price starting tomorrow. So if you're on this webinar, please take action now. I have a kind of a bias toward people who take action and people who don't take action. So pull out that credit card, sign up for the book club. It is an experience that is going to change your mindset, and it's going to alter everything in your life, because your mind will be in a different place once you're in this book club. You're going to think differently, and you're going to approach things differently, and you're going to have a better attitude about a lot of things. So as I mentioned, so the book club begins now. It's right now. This is step one. You're going to have a special discount on the webinar, which is right now. The link is right there in your pop-ins. If you go to the pop-ins on the sidebar of this webinar, and then I'm going to send you the link. Once you sign up, I'm going to send you the link for the Mastermind edition of the book that I showed you at the beginning of the webinar. This edition of this book is the one to get. Not only because it's better and has more extra features in it, but also because you can be on the same page as me. When I'm talking about page 84, you'll be on page 84. Every version of the book that's out there has a different page 84. So there are maybe 100 different versions of the book Think and Grow Rich. Some of them are the original text from 1937. Some of them are altered a little bit. The one I first read when I was 20-something actually had some more current examples in it, which is helpful. But this is really a historical text on one hand. So it comes from 1937. The Mastermind volume actually has quotes from a lot of different authors and inspiring people. And then in the back, there's some extra reading, and there's a lot of room to write down stuff. So I will send you that link when you sign up for the book club. And just to tell you, so is this just going to be reading a book and you're going to be talking to me? Well, sure, that's part of it. But starting to read this, you're going to have a better perspective in your life. You're going to have a better life, and you're going to have better results. The book club members from earlier this year doubled the size of one, doubled his size of his restaurant. One gained clarity on a second home and is planning for it. One started an organic garden as a soon-to-be career. And she was nervous and shy about doing that. But when she put her definite purpose out there and saw that her future could be involved with that, she started going for it. And another person in the Think and Grow Rich book club started a web design business. He was kind of struggling with what to do with his career. Young guy, had some talents, and was really able to work through what was in his heart to do and what he really wanted to put his efforts toward. When it's in your heart and you use your mind properly, you can achieve your heart's desires. You just have to use your mind in the proper fashion. So I'm going to come back on camera here for a second. Let's see, turn camera on. and stop sharing. Here we go. Hello again. So again, I'm Mo Fall, and I'm the facilitator of your 12-week Think and Grow Rich program. And I see that my paper is falling down, so got to correct all the details. So listen, it's a 12-week program to get to know this fantastic book. Napoleon Hill is an icon in making anyone's life better. I'll also share with you through the course clips from YouTube and that sort of thing where he's actually giving lessons himself. It's fascinating what he knew back then. He wrote the book in 1937, but he taught this book in the 40s, 50s, 60s. I think he died in 1970. So bless him for having been on this earth for that period of time and giving us this fantastically rich text. He also, by the way, wrote several other books that you might have come across. Let me take out my Wall Street Journal from there. The Law of Success. This is 16 Laws of Success, and it includes having a pleasing personality as one of 16 Laws of Success. This is slightly different than Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich is really about having a definite plan and moving toward that. The Laws of Success, and I think he has like 17 Principles of Success as well, are all about the way we have to round out our personality basically to be successful. And great stuff, obviously a little bit longer than Think and Grow Rich, but Think and Grow Rich gets us on a path to meeting our definite desire. Just as another example, there's also a Think and Grow Rich workbook. You will receive, when you sign up for the book club, again, $127 today, regular priced $197. If you want to move towards your goals and towards your dreams, sign up now. It's $127 well spent, $10 a week, in order to move your life forward. I have a goal, and if I can share that with you for a second, my goal is to have 100,000 people changing their life for the good through the principles that Napoleon Hill talked about, which are the principles of how the universe works. We are all in a physical universe. We are all also in a non-physical universe, and it's the non-physical universe that really affects our life so much more than the physical universe. We think we're living in this body and with tangible things that we can knock on and touch, but really it's all about the non-physical. And what we think about expands, and we attract into us what our reality framework is all about. So I want to encourage you to go ahead and click on the offer. It's $127, regularly $197. Folks have doubled their restaurant, gone after their dreams, started a new business. Let's get your life moving in that direction. It's super exciting what can happen. It's going to be a short 12 weeks. Trust me, it goes by very fast. Every Wednesday, make an appointment in your calendar to join me at the Think and Grow Rich Book Club and others. There'll be a lot of folks on those calls who will help you as well. The peer mentoring and the interaction is so fantastic. Okay, again to recap. Napoleon Hill said, your thoughts create your reality. What you think about is what your reality is. And if you can implant your desire and use the rest of his 12 principles, you will achieve exactly what your heart's desire is. And you will learn a whole new way of living life, because you will know now that your subconscious mind and your thoughts are what create your entire life. And so for some people, that's a very scary thought because they don't like the thoughts that they're having. So let's clean that up a little bit. If you're one of those people who has thoughts that are moving you in the wrong direction, let's clean that up by the study of this fantastic book. I'm going to close out now, give you one last chance to click on the $127 offer for this book club. Chance to work with me for the next 12 weeks on a private conference call. You will get a workbook, a worksheet ahead of time. You will get the live call recorded and sent to you a link for the special website where all the recordings will be. And as a special member of the book club, you will have access to that for 90 days after the book club is over. This is your life. Make the most of it. I'm going to help you get your most life by studying Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Join us now. Click on, and we will see you next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. and you'll get the special telephone number and next week's worksheet when you sign up. Thanks for joining the webinar, and we'll see you next week.